Hi everybody, this is Bonnie Barker with Bonnie Bay Crochet, and today I want to show you something very special. This is a brand new scarf, and I'm calling this one Dreams of Inisheer Scarf. And this embodies a brand new cabling system. Let me get a little bit closer to show you. Of course, you're going to see this up close as I go through the tutorial with you. I need to say up front that this is really an intermediate to advanced technique. So if you're an absolute beginner, please, you might not want to start with this one today, but go ahead and check out some of my many other beginning tutorials. And then once you feel confident in your skills, by all means, come on back and take a look at this. This uses the elongated cable that many of you may be familiar with, and it also has a double twist cable in the center, and it is trimmed using a basket weave. And of course, I'm going to throw in some of those wattle stitches in between for the recessed fabric of this design. You can see the ribbing trim on the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and put some pictures of this right here so that you can get a better idea. Well, let's go ahead and make our Dreams of Inisheer scarf. For this project, I'm going to be using 3 hanks of special yarn from a local indie dyer called Banshee Fiber Art Studio. Each of these hanks is made up of 60% superwash merino wool, 20% yak, 20% silk. These are 100-gram hanks, and each has approximately 400 yards. Again, this is a fingering or a sock weight or a number 1 weight yarn. Now, you don't have to have this exact kind of yarn. Feel free to substitute what you have in your local area. I do recommend a number 1 size fingering weight yarn if you want the same results that I get. However, if you want to make a larger project, for example, a super scarf, feel free to upsize the yarn. Make sure that you upsize the hook as well. I'm also recommending that you have a size G or 6 or 4.00 millimeter crochet hook. And as always, a pair of sharp scissors and a yarn needle is very helpful. To begin, we start with a slip knot and a starting chain of 69 chains. After completing those 69 chains, we are now going to start row 1 by working a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook and in each chain across. So go ahead and work those double crochets, and when you finish this row, you should have a total of 66 stitches, and that's not including the starting chain. This is what you should have after completing row 1, and again, you should have 66 double crochets, and that's not including the chain 3 at the beginning of the row. Okay, so now we're going to turn, and for row 2, this is where we work the ribbing. We're going to chain 2. We're going to skip the first stitch, and we're going to work front post double crochet over that first stitch and back post double crochet over the next, front post double crochet and back post double crochet. So go ahead and work this all the way across the row. At the end of row 2, we work a front post double crochet and then a half double worked into the turning chain. Now for row 3, we're going to chain 2 and again skip that first stitch, and the odd number rows are going to begin with a back post double crochet, at least for the ribbing portion. So we have back post double crochet followed by a front post double crochet, and we're going to work that all the way across the row. And let me show you the end of the row. At the end of the row, we're going to work a back post double crochet followed by that HDC or half double crochet worked into that turning chain. So go ahead, complete row 3, and then after that we're going to repeat rows 2 and 3 2 more times until we have a total of 7 rows. So again, when the front side or when the even number of rows are being worked, we'll start with the front post on these rows with the ribbing, and when the odd number of rows are being worked, we begin with a back post. So go ahead and work rows 3 through 7. This is what you should have after completing those 7 rows of ribbing. Now we're going to renumber the rows of the cable section. We're going to just restart the numbering system, and this we're going to call cabling row 1. Okay, I'm going to put a picture in here right now of the cables that we're going to be working, just so that you can have a picture of that. So now for row number 1 of the cabling, we are going to be laying the foundation for all of these cables. So let's go ahead and start with a chain 2. We're always going to skip the first stitch or the end stitch. And for the edging, we're going to work 6 stitches of the basket weave. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to work 2 front post double crochets, 2 back post double crochets, and then 2 front post double crochets. Okay, now we're going to work the wattle stitch, and we do this by working into the top loops of this row. Chain, and we're going to work a single crochet, a chain 1, and a double crochet. And we're going to do that again, but after we work this wattle stitch, we're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and then the next one we work that combination again of the single crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and the combination of all 3 we call the wattle stitch, W-A-T-T-L-E stitch. Now we're going to skip the next 2 stitches for that wattle stitch, and we're going to work the foundation of the elongated cable. If we do that, again, make sure that you skip 2 stitches here. Then we're going to work 3 front post double crochets, followed by a half double crochet, and then 3 more front post double crochets. Okay, so these columns are going to grow for another row, and then we're going to cross them. All right, so the next stitch we're going to work 2 more wattle stitches. So in the next stitch we work a wattle stitch, which is the combination of those 3 stitches, skip 2 stitches, and then work another wattle stitch, skip 2 stitches, and then now we're going to work the foundation for that beautiful center cable, which is much larger. So we work 3 front post double crochets, and then a half double worked into the top loops of that next stitch. We're going to do that 2 more times, just like that, with the half double crochet. So 1, 2, 3 front post double crochets, and then a half double crochet, and then 3 more front post double crochets, and then a half double crochet, and then the last set we just work 3 more front post double crochets. But we do not work a half double after these. So let's pause. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4 sets with the half double crochets in between. Okay, after that, we're going to work 2 more wattle stitches starting in that next stitch. That's 1. Skip 2 stitches. And 2. Skip 2 stitches, and then we make, let's go ahead and wrap the hook. We're going to work 3 more front post double crochets, half double, the half double, or into the top loops of the next stitch, and then 3 more front post double crochets, and we're going to work 2 more wattle stitches, skip 2 stitches, skip 2 stitches. Now the last 6 stitches we're going to work 2 front post double crochets, 2 back post double crochets, and 2 front post double crochets. Now in the turning chain, we're going to work a half double crochet, and that ends the row. Let's take a look at row 1 of the cabling. Okay, just for review, you're going to have those 6 stitches with the, this is going to be trimmed, and it's going to be worked all the way along the side of the scarf with the 2 front post, 2 back post, 2 front post with a basket weave, 2 wattle stitches, the foundation for the elongated cable, 2 more wattle stitches, the foundation for that large cable in the middle, 2 wattle stitches, another foundation for the elongated cable, 2 wattle stitches, and then your 6 stitches with the basket weave. All right, let's go ahead and turn. We're going to call this cabling row 2, or I'm just going to call this row 2. Okay, so we're going to chain 2, and with the basket weave, we're going to work 2 rows with the stitches consistently. So even though we started with a front post last row, when this presents itself to us now with the back side facing, it looks like a back post. So we want to maintain that for 1 more row, and then the next row after this we will change the direction, and I'll show you what that looks like. So every 2 rows we're going to change the direction, but right now, so they have 1, 2 rows of the basket weave, and then we work 2 more back post. I know that may sound a little confusing, but I think it'll be clearer in just a bit. So 2 back post, 2 front post, 2 back post. Again, maintaining what you see in front of you. Now for the wattle stitches, we're going to work only in the chain 1 space, and we're going to work a wattle stitch. The combination of those 3 stitches, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. Let's work another. Now across the foundation for this cable, we're going to work 3 back post double crochets, since this is the back side facing us. Half double and half double worked in through the top loops. Those are spacers for these cables, and then 3 more back post double crochet, working in the wattle stitches. Work wattle stitches in that chain 1 space only, and this makes a nice lovely recessed fabric in between the cables. Now for the large cable, again, we're just going to work back post, double crochets in each of these, half double into half double, and again 3 more, back post, double crochets. Lots of post stitches in this scarf. I hope you like those. And then a half double worked into the top loops, and 1 more, or maybe 2 more. 2 more sets here of these 3 back post double crochets, half double in the half double, and 3 more back post double crochets. And then we have 2 more wattle stitches, again working in the chain 1 space only. And the last cable of the row, 3 more back post double crochets, half double worked into that half double, and 3 more back post double crochets. And wattle stitches. I promise I'm not going to go through every single row like this, but I just want to make sure as we establish the first few rows of the cable section that you understand what's going on. Those of you who've done my patterns before, I know understand clearly. Those of you who are finding me for the first time, welcome to my channel, and I hope you enjoy what you find. Alright, so the last 6 stitches with the basket weave, 2 back post double crochets, 2 front post double crochets. Again, pay attention to these rows so that you only work 2 rows with the particular direction. So, and 2 back post double crochets, and half double in that turning chain. Let's go ahead and turn. Oh yes, and take a look at what you have. And I really love this yarn. I know it's a bit on the pricier side because of the yak and the silk, but it really does help feature what we're about to make here. Now we're getting to row number 3, and we have 2 rows, as you see, 2 with the front post, 2 back post, 2 front posts, as we're looking at it with the front side facing. We're going to chain 2, so now it's time to reverse that. So when you see front post, work 2 back posts. This is what I mean by reversing it, the direction every 2 rows. So we're going to work 2 back post. So we have 2 back posts here, so we're going to work 2 front post. And see, this is what gives it the basket weave effect. Okay. And then we work 2 more back posts because we're reversing from the front post to the back post. Okay, let's pause so you can see how it gives it that woven effect, which I think is going to be very nice along the edge of this scarf. Now we work those wattle stitches in those 2 spaces, chain 1 spaces that is, and we come to the very first crossing of the cables in our design. I will try to take this as slowly as I can. If you need additional stitch support, please check the video description or the Bonnie Bae Crochet YouTube channel. There is a playlist of stitch videos that can help you understand these better if you need additional support. So the first thing we're going to do is skip the 3 post stitches and work a half double into the top loops of that half double crochet. Now we're going to work 2 front post treble crochets. That's 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to pause and let you look at that for a second. The only time we use front post trebles in these designs is when we are crossing cables. Now working in front of the last 4 stitches, that would be those 3 post stitches and the half double, we're going to come work a front post treble here, here, and here. Let's go with the one furthest away from us. It's going to feel like a big reach across as you do this, but trust me, you'll get used to it, and if you do it properly, I think you're going to enjoy the results. Okay, so that cable is crossed. Now we work wattle stitches into the next 2 stitches, working in the chain 1 space only. Now we come to the large central cable. We're going to work just front post double crochets on this column and on this column. These 2 center columns are the ones that we're going to cross. So let's go ahead and work front post double crochets over that first column, because again, we're not crossing this column. This is just going to be elongated along the side. And then half double that next stitch. And this is where we cross the cables. We're going to skip the next 3 stitches, just like we did in the previous cable. Half double, and that next half double. Front post treble in the next 3 stitches. Working in front of those 4 stitches, we're going to front post treble in each of these stitches that we just skipped. The one that's furthest away first, and then we move towards the center of the cable. Then we work a half double in the next half double. Let's pause a minute so you can see how that one has been crossed. And now we work the 3 front post doubles. Okay, so again, trebles to cross, but when you're building these on the side that are not crossed, work front post double crochets. I just want to be extra clear about that. Now we get to the wattle stitches. We work wattle stitches in those chain 2 spaces, just like this. All right, now we come to the other cable on the other side. We're going to skip the next 3 stitches, half double in that next stitch, front post treble in the next 3 stitches, and then working in front of those 4 stitches, we're going to front post treble in these 3 stitches, just like we've done with the previous 2 cables. And this is probably as deep as the water gets in the pool, as they say. This is the deep end of the pool here. There is another row when we cross the double cables together, which is a little dicier. But basically, if you can get this far in the pattern, I think you can complete the project. All right, so let's go ahead and work wattle stitches in those next 2 wattle stitches in the chain 1 space. And then again, we're going to reverse. Whatever we do over here at the beginning of the row is the same thing we do at the end of the row here. So we have 2 rows of that double front post double crochets for the basket weave. So now we're going to work 2 back post. Okay. Then over the back post, we work 2 front post double crochets. And then 2 more back post double crochets. Half double in that turning chain, and that row is complete. Okay, so this is what you should have after 3 rows of the cabling. Now let's turn for row number 4. We're going to chain 2, and we're going to continue what we see with the basket weave again until we have 2 rows. So that's 1 row. So we know we're going to work front post over the 2 front post, and then 2 back post, and then 2 more front post double crochets. And again, wattle stitches. This is what you're going to do throughout. I'm not going to spend as much time on this going forward. I am going to speed up a little bit on the instruction, but I do want to show you this row. After we have crossed those cables, there's something special we need to do. We're going to work 3 back post double crochets. Remember, we're back to double crochets in our post stitches. Okay, now there's no half double crochet in the middle. So what we're going to do is in between the last stitch and the next stitch, this is the center where the cables were, or where these stitches were crossed, we're going to add a half double crochet. But if you're a mathematician and worried about adding in additional stitches, don't worry, because we're going to skip this half double crochet in just a second so that the stitch count is maintained throughout. Okay, so now we're going to work 3 more back post double crochets, and here's that half double that we're skipping, and then we go back to working in those wattle stitches, and you know how to do those. You should by now, because we're going to be using a lot of these in this project, and we've already made a lot of them. All right, so now working on the back side of that large cable, we're going to just work 3 back post. This is over those columns that we're continuing to grow, to build. Half double in the next half double, and then now we come to the cable that was crossed, and just like we did in the first cable, 3 back post double crochets, and in between that last stitch and the next stitch, we're going to work a half double crochet, and the next 3 stitches are going to be back post double crochets. After that, we've got another half double crochet right there to work, worked into the top loops, and then 3 more back post double crochets. Two more wattle stitches, and again working over another cable, 3 back post double crochets, and in between that last stitch and next stitch, that's where the 2 columns are crossed, work a half double crochet, and 3 more back post double crochets. And to finish out the row, 2 more wattle stitches, and then now we come to those basket weave. Again, whatever you do on the at the beginning of the row, we do at the end of the row. So we have only 1 row of the basket weave, or of those double front post double, so we're going to make it 2 now. 2 working front post doubles over those front post, 2 back post over those 2 back post, and then 2 front post double crochets. Now, since we have 2 rows completed, on the next row we're going to reverse that again, and then a half double in that turning chain. This is the back side facing. Doesn't look like much, but taking a look at the front, it is becoming something. So we're going to chain 2. It's time to change the direction of this basket weave again, and we're going to do that, changing those back posts to front post, and the front post, let's work back post over those 2 stitches. And over those 2 back posts, we're going to work 2 front post. Let's pause just for a minute and let's take a look at that. Doesn't that look cool? So this way, as you crochet your scarf, you're not going to have to come back and redo anything. When you work your final row, you're going to be done. You don't have to do any perimeter rounds or any of that. And it's going to make this scarf nice and flexible. Okay, waddle stitches in the next 2 stitches. Now what I show you next over the cables is what you're going to do with every cable across the row or column of 3 post stitches. We're just going to work 3 front post double crochets, half double worked into that half double, and then 3 front post double crochets, and then you go right there into the waddle stitches. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the rest of this row so you can see how this is defining the cable already. And we're going to do the same here. Over here we just work 3 front post doubles, and then don't forget the half doubles here, here, and here, and then 3 more front post. Oh, these are front post, these are front post. Waddle stitch, and then you do the same here with the front post double crochets. Waddle stitch, and again we're reversing this, so you'll have 2 front posts, 2 back posts, 2 front posts, and then the half double in the turning chain. Now the row after this is going to be row, let's see, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this is row 5 that we're working across the row right now. So for row 6, you'll have the back side facing, and you'll continue working whatever you see on the back side with the basket weave, and then you're going to work just back post double crochets with those half doubles in between. Of course, waddle stitch, but just work back post double crochets over the cabled portions. All right, so go ahead and work rows 5 and row 6. This is what you should have after completing 6 of the cabling rows. Now let's talk about what we're going to do for row 7 of the cabling. We're going to continue on with the basket weave. I'll do this with you though. We're going to cross this cable again, and once again we're going to cross this cable, and we're going to cross this cable. We'll just continue with the waddle stitches, and this will be front post double crochets. All right, so let's just go ahead and do this row together, and we're going to start with a chain 2, and since we already have 2 rows with the front post, let's go ahead and make this next row back post double crochet, and then the next 2 are going to be front post double crochet, because again it's time to reverse these for the basket weave, and then 2 back post double crochet, And let's just stop and take a look at that. All right, wattle stitches as normal. And another wattle stitch. Now I'm going to slow down so we can do another cable crossing. Skip these 3 stitches, half double, and that next half double. Front post trebles in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Working in front of these last 4 stitches, we're going to front post treble here, here, and here. So the one furthest away from where our hook is, that's 1, 2, and 3. And then go ahead and work a wattle stitch, that next wattle stitch, and let's take a look, and you can see how beautiful that cable looks. All right, so we're going to continue doing that again. We're going to work front post double crochet, so let's go ahead and let's just do it together. Finish up that wattle stitch. 3 front post double crochets, half double, the half double. Now we're going to cross this cable. Skip those 3, half double, right there in that half double. Front post treble in the next 3 stitches. And again, working in front of those 4 stitches, we're going to front post treble in the 3 stitches that we just skipped. Half double in the next stitch, and then 3 more front post double crochets. Remember, these are front post doubles. When you're crossing the cables like we just did here, those are trebles. So I'm going to let you finish out this row with the wattle stitch, cross these cables like I just showed you 2 times, wattle stitch, and then 2 back posts, 2 front posts, and 2 back posts, and the half double crochet to finish out the row. So after you complete row 7, I want you to turn for row 8, and then you're just going to work back post double crochets over those cables. Don't forget, you need to put a half double in between where the cables were crossed. Okay, so go ahead and work rows 7 and 8. And again, when you work row 8, work 3 back posts and then a half double in between where those cables were crossed. I just want to be sure that you understand how to do that. Okay, so after those 2 rows, I will show you what to do from there. So this is what you should have after completing 8 of the cabling rows. So now for rows 9 and 10, I'm just going to give you an assignment, since you should know how to work most of this already. For the basket weave, for row number 9, we're going to reverse it again. So we'll work 2 front posts, 2 back posts, 2 front posts, and that goes the same for the other side. 2 front, 2 back, 2 front, and then the half double, of course, in that turning chain. For the rest, you know the wattle stitches, what to do there. For the columns with the cables, we're just going to work front post double crochets in each of those. Don't forget the half doubles in between. And then we're going to work row 10, which is with the back side facing. And for that, you're going to, again, we're going to maintain what we see on the basket weave sides. waddle stitches, and we're just going to work back post double crochets over those cable columns. And again, don't forget those half doubles in between. So go ahead and work rows 9 and 10. Okay, this is what you should have after completing 10 rows. Now I'm going to try to condense the instruction going forward as far as the basket weave goes on both ends. You should know to switch after every 2 rows, or every other row you will reverse the direction of the post stitches to maintain this. It's a 2-row repeat. The rows or the cable, for the elongated cable, you are going to change or cross the cables every 4th row, and this will always be with the front side facing, which are the odd numbered rows with the cable section. You know what to do with all the waddle stitches. Now we're going to cross, this is row 11, we are going to cross both of these cables. We're going to work over these, and then we're going to cross in front of all of these, and then work our post stitches here and here, and with the half doubles as well. Okay, and again, we're going to cross this cable. These are crossed every 4 rows. They'll be crossed at the same time as this cable. It just so happens that these cables will cross at the same time on row 11, but it will not be that way going forward. So I'm going to ask to refer you, I'm going to refer you to the written pattern if you're looking for specifics for every single row. But I think this is going to be very visual for you. So once you understand when these cables are crossed, you'll know when to do them without having to refer to that. If you still need, to look at that row by row and check them off, I totally understand. And that's where the pattern can be very helpful in those cases. So I'm going to go ahead and work I'm going to actually work through this section, and I'm going to cross this cable again, just the way we have here and here. And then I'm going to get to this section and show you how to cross the central part of this for row 11. So I have worked over the first part of the scarf, and then now we come to the central cable, and I'll show you how I want you to do this. We're going to skip the first 3 stitches, and then we're going to work a double crochet, just a slightly longer stitch than a half double in that first half double. That's just because of the width of this particular cable. Now we're going to skip the next 3 stitches, and we're going to work a double crochet again in that half double. It's just for this big row. And now we're going to work front post trebles over the next 3 stitches. And again, a double crochet in that half double. And then 3 more front post trebles. So let's pause. Now after completing this, let's take a look at what this should look like. And I'm going to explain what we're going to do. We're going to be working in front of all of these 8 stitches we just made. We're going to come all the way over here. I guess 9 stitches if you count this one. So we're going to come way over here again. We're going to work front post treble, front post treble, front post treble. We're going to put another double crochet in the same place where that other double crochet was made. Then we're going to work front post treble, front post treble, front post treble over these stitches. And then after that, we're going to come way over here and start our waddle stitches again. So let's go ahead and do that. So again, reaching all the way across, it feels like half the scarf. We're going to work front post treble in those first 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Now I said before where that double crochet was, work another double crochet there. Okay. Then we're going to do 3 more front post treble crochets. 1, 2, and 3, and then come over here and work that wattle stitch, and then we're going to take a look at what we've done. Okay, so this is what we have done, and this is crossing everything, 2 columns crossed over 2 columns. So the rest of the project, the rest of this row finishes out in the same way. Another wattle stitch. We're going to cross these cables as we normally have done, wattle stitches, and then again back 2 back posts, 2 front posts, 2 back posts, and then I will work the next row, which is row 12, and then I will show you how to work behind this cable, because it's a little bit more complicated, but once I show you how to do this, then you'll have all the tools you'll need to complete this project. Okay, I've worked row 12 until I've come to the back side of this large cable. Now let me show you. It's a little bit tricky to see, but I'm going to pull, or if you can watch with me, it's kind of like a zigzag, like an S here in the order. But what you can do is kind of, well, let's look at it from this side. So what we're going to do is we're going to work back post, 3 back post double crochets, a half double in the half double, 3 more back post double crochets, and then we're going to work a half double in between where these crossed, and then the other side of the cable, 3 more back post, a half double in the, well, it's a double crochet here, but where it should be the half double crochet section, and then 3 more back post, and then that is it. So let's go ahead and do that. It's easier to see when you look at it from that direction, but again, as I've said in many videos, if you're using the nerve endings in your fingers, you can usually find the stitches that you need. So we're going to start with those first 3 back post double crochets over those post stitches. 1, 2, 3, and we're going to work a half double where the double crochet was worked right there. And then if you're looking at it kind of upside down and backwards here, we have 3 more post stitches that I'm going to work. 1, 2, and 3. And then this is the center cable. We work a half double crochet in there. So after working this section, this is back post, 3 back post, half double, 3 back post, and then work 1, because that's the center of where all of these were crossed. And then the next side, 3 more back post double crochets, a half double in the top of that double crochet, and then 3 more back post double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to skip these 2 stitches, and then we're going to go right for the wattle stitch. All right, and then you just continue working again, work the back side of this cable where you work the half double in the center of the cable and across. But let me show you the front side facing, and this will become clearer after a couple more rows, but that is basically how you would complete row number 12. So this is what you should have after completing 12 rows of the cabling section. Now for rows 13 and 14, we're going to work front post double crochets, and then again the half double crochets in the cables, and that goes all the way across for this section as well. 3 front post double crochets, half double, 3 front post, half double, 3 front post, half double, etc. with the front side facing. And then for row 14, we're going to work back post double crochets over those cable sections. And again, the wattle stitches are the same, and you're continuing with the basket weave as the same. Okay, so this is what you should have after completing 14 rows. Now you actually have all the tools that you need to complete this scarf, but let me explain just in detail again how each of these individual stitches works. This row, as I said before, this changes every 2 rows, or every other rows you'll reverse the direction from front post to back post or back post to front post. The wattle stitches remain constant throughout. Those are just worked just very easily the way you have worked them many rows already. The elongated cables here and here are worked every 4 rows. You're going to cross the cables. Now these were corresponding on the first time in them appearing, but now that we've added the additional large double twin crossing here, it actually takes 2 additional rows until you cross the middle cable. Okay, so what's going to happen is, and I will show you some photos of what this should look like, going forward. I'll put another photo in right here as to what happens as you work the next 10 rows. Okay, so we've crossed these and we've come to row 14. Well, what you need to do for the central cable, which is the one that you really are going to probably need the most support on, is back at row 5, which is 2 rows before this was crossed on row 7. What we're going to do is we're going to repeat rows 5 through 14 over and over again for this center section. Okay, so again, rows 5 through 14. So if you need to look for stitch support, you can go back. I'll put a little time mark right across the bottom. And again, just follow what's happening in the center column or the center twin cable here on those replays, because this is going to be every 10 rows that you cross the major double cables here, where these are going to be crossing every 4 rows. Okay, and within this cable you're going to have this one is going to be crossing after 2 more rows that will cross, and then 4 more rows later it will cross again with the double crossing. Okay, so I'm going to work a little bit more of this. I will show you going forward on row 15. It is time to cross this cable, and you can see that visually. Okay, this cable is too tight to cross just yet, so I'm going to need to work the row front post and then the back post. So 3 rows later, I'm going to cross this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just work several of these, and I will show you. If you want to have exact information as to which row do I cross when, you can check out the written pattern, and I will have that all specified as to what you do for each row. But honestly, if you're a very visual person, it's probably more information than what you are going to need to complete this, especially if you're an intermediate to an advanced crocheter. Okay, so I'll go ahead and work some more on this, and then I will show you what I have. I have come to the point now where I'm going to transition back to the ribbing, and just to let you know that I have a total of 21 of these double cable twists. So that would be 20 repeats of the original row groupings that we learned. Now, I just wanted to be clear, you can make fewer repeats if you want a shorter scarf, or you can even do longer, or more repeats if you want a longer scarf. But after the last repeat, you should have cables that look like this. Now, we're not going to cross the double twist. We're not going to do the entire cable, but we're just going to cross these 2 columns again. And let me go ahead and show you, just as a refresher, the beginning part of the scarf. How you have 2 of these crossing, and then the cables here, or the columns rather, turn right back into the ribbing at the bottom. So we're going to transition just like this so that the scarf is symmetrical on both sides. So this, we're going to call this the transition row, and we're just going to continue to work in pattern stitch. I've gone ahead and just worked all the way across, and I'm just going to work this cable section with you with the 3 front post double crochets, half double, and then this is the cable that we're going to cross again, skipping those 3 stitches, working that half double. I know you know this already, but just as a review, 3 front post treble crochets, and then working in front of those 4 stitches, we're going to work front post trebles in those 3 stitches that we skipped. And then we just half double in the next half double, and then 3 more front post double crochets. I'm going to go ahead and finish out the rest of this row in pattern stitch, but I just wanted to show you this will be the last cable crossing, or the last row with cable crossings, and then we're going to work 1 more row, and then we're going to begin the ribbing. And so for the next round, it's going to be worked with the backside facing, and we're just going to work in pattern stitch just the way we've been working over these rows. Again, working the row that works the half double crochet in between the last stitch and the next stitch in the center of the cable here, here, and here. So go ahead and work that row. Now, having worked those 2 transition rows, we're going to go back to the ribbing on this row, or at least the foundation for the ribbing. So I'm going to just go ahead and work this with you. The main difference is going to be what we do for the wattle stitches. Now throughout, or at least this will be the last row here that we work with the basket weave. Okay, so now we come to the wattle stitches. We're going to skip the double crochet here, and in the chain 1 space, we're going to work 2 double crochets, and then 1 double crochet in the single crochet of the wattle stitch. So we're going to do that again. Skip the double crochet, work 2 double crochets in the chain 1 space, and then 1 in the single crochet. Now for the cable section, just like we did for the basket weave, we're just going to work the cable section like we normally would with those front post double crochets, a half double in the half double, and then 3 more front post double crochets. And then we come to the wattle stitches, and again we skip that double crochet, 2 double crochets in the chain 1 space, and then 1 in the single crochet, just working through the top loops. And working over the central cable, we just work front post double crochets, on each of those columns and a half double worked into the half double. So I'm going to go ahead and just talk the rest of this through. We're going to do the same over this section, and you know what to do with the wattle stitches: 2 double crochets in the chain 1 space and 1 in the single crochets, and then front post double crochets, working the 3 double crochets in each of the wattle stitches, and then we work 2 front posts, 2 back posts, 2 front posts, and a half double in the turning chain. So go ahead and finish the transition row 3. So this is what you should have after having completed those 3 transition rows, transitioning to the ribbing. All right, so now we're ready for the last 7 rows of the ribbing. We're going to chain 2, and we are going to work a back post double crochet followed by a front post double crochet, back post, front post, and we're going to work that all the way across the row. And when we get to the end of the row, we are going to work a half double crochet in the turning chain. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and work that, and then I'll show you what I have. I should have mentioned beforehand, but when you run into the half double crochets, you just treat them just like you would any other stitch, and you either work a front post or a back post around those stitches. We're going to chain 2, and you begin with what you see on each row. Okay, so this we'll begin with a front post followed by back post, front post, back post, all the way across. You're going to end with a front post and a half double crochet, and that's with the front side facing. When the back side is facing you, you will begin with a back post double crochet, then a front post, back post, front post. And the idea is you want to crochet these so that you have, like stitches with like stitches. Let me show you what I mean by that. I'll show you again, just as a review, so that you end up with an effect like this, so you have these nice long even ribs. So I'll go ahead and start this one. We're going to skip that half double crochet, and then we begin with a front post followed by a back post, and we're just going to work that all the way across. So go ahead and work 5 additional rows of the ribbing. After working all those rows with the ribbing, this is what you should have. So now it's time to just fasten off with a chain. I'll go ahead and do that for you. The chain and a nice tug, and take your scissors, clip a nice generous strand so you can hide that strand, or so that you can thread the strand into the yarn needle and hide the loose end into your work. So go ahead and hide those loose strands, and we're all finished. Well, I hope you enjoyed making the Dreams of Inisheer scarf with me today. If you did, please feel free to comment in the comment section below. God bless. Bye-bye.